And our final presenter for this afternoon is the former Chief of the Australian Army, David Morrison, to talk about violence against women as a workplace issue.
I want to start by offering my respect to all victims of domestic violence. To those who've stood in the public gaze, resolute in the face of such violence, women such as Rosie Batty and Christy McKellar, your courage points to a path that we as a society desperately need to follow. What if you could make a difference by listening, with compassion, but without judgment? Would you do it? What if you could go a step further by making your workplace an environment where such conversations could take place without fear of recrimination? Would you do that? Could you take the step of working with agencies who understand the dimensions of these issues, who can offer practical assistance to those who work for and with you? And in response to that practical assistance, would you develop workplace practices and policies that support those in need? I've seen firsthand great violence perpetrated against women and children, almost entirely by men, during the course of a long military career. I've stood with the shattered remnants of families crushed by the crimes committed against them, despairing that they will ever be able to live in hope again. In Iraq, Afghanistan, Timor, the Solomon Islands, Bougainville, all so far from Australia, all so removed from the lives we lead. Yet here's the rub. I've come to understand that the terrible things that happen in war zones, murder, rape, assaults, the stripping away of dignity, the absence of hope, they are just as much present in our own communities, in our own families, as they are in seemingly more troubled countries. It's just that they happen behind closed doors, away from the lens of a war correspondent, ignored by neighbours and even family members, unspoken but just as life-shattering. If it was just the statistics, the picture would be grim by any measure. So many women present in our workforce today are affected by domestic violence, and for many of them, their workplace is a refuge from that violence. But it's not the statistics, it's the lives, it's the hopes and the aspirations that we, all of us, men and women, should have as our birthright as Australians. Aspirations and hope that are smashed and rendered useless, sometimes by those who are seemingly closest to us. And it's not just the individual lives. As terrible as this violence is, it's how, as a consequence, we define ourselves as Australians, as leaders within our communities, our companies, our institutions, and indeed our nation. And so, as leaders, we can make a difference. We can hear the previously unheard voices and see the previously unseen desperation. It's a workplace issue because, in the most cut and dried sense, it directly impacts on the bottom line. Decreased staff performance, high turnover and absenteeism are all the direct measurable impacts. And this is true for victims as well as perpetrators. But of course, the work environment is not so black and white. Employee health and well-being also subtly improves workplace culture and employee satisfaction. If we, leaders in the workplace, offer clear policies and procedures and clearly communicate to our employees that they are not alone, that disclosing their circumstances will not result in adverse consequences at work, then we're taking a positive step to address the issue, ensuring that we aren't bystanders when such things happen. Would you do this? Well, how could you not?
Instead of a question, I'd like us all just to take 10 seconds of silence to reflect on what David's had to say to us here today.